Number one, positive rewards and negative consequences. So when the addict is doing something that we know to be right, we need to treat them and celebrate with them. And when they're misbehaving, and we know them to be misbehaving, we need to not reward them at all. So if someone is graduating from rehab and they come home and they have a drink on the way, that's not okay. We don't say, "Oh, you'll get over it." We say that's not okay, and we confront them about that. But at the same time, when they do make it home without drinking, we say, "Well done. Here you go, let me make dinner for you, or let me help you in some way." So we need to reward them when they're doing well, but we must not reward them or let them off the hook if they start slipping back into their addiction. Frequent random drug tests are not that usual in the UK, but it's something that we like to do with sober services. Not because we don't trust the person, but because we don't trust the person. The reality is that the addict, as I said at the beginning, is the master at lying, cheating, stealing, and baffling and manipulating. And in many cases, they will persuade the family members that they're sober, and we know they're still drinking. So we've introduced alcohol testing or drug testing on clients where we suspect that to be the case. And at that point, they can't hide anymore. Abstinence-based therapeutic programs, and the best example I have are the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, which are free and able to be accessed by anyone all over the UK or all over the world. And other such programs, we've got our own program that's very similar. Most of my staff are in 12-step recovery, but not all of us. And we have programs that work for people that want a 12-step solution and for people that don't want a 12-step solution. Sober Services is open-minded, and we'll try and find whatever works best for the client and whatever the client wants best. But we'll only acknowledge what the client wants once that client is sober. Because while they're still using, the odds are they're going to want to carry on finding a program that keeps them using. The best example I can give you, based on my own experience, was when I was a heroin user. I would go and get prescribed methadone, and therefore suddenly I didn't have to scrounge money each day to go and score methadone. So it allowed me to not be junkie sick and then go ahead and commit more crime in order to fuel an ever increasing crack habit. So giving me alternative drugs is not sorting out my addiction, it's simply allowing me to explore other forms of addiction. Prescribing narcotics to treat narcotic addiction is bonkers. It's just nuts. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, because I'm grateful that I had those opportunities to use Subutex and methadone. But in the long term, it does prolong the disease. When we see people that are just parked on methadone for years and years and years, you're not giving someone a quality of life. There's no real value to their life if all they're doing is spending their life going towards a methadone clinic, picking up their juice, and then spending the rest of their time worrying about where they can get more cocaine from. So the first part of any treatment needs to start from a place of abstinence, in our opinion. Recovery-based role models, so recovery mentors, life coaches, all these types of people. So you have someone that you can share with, you can get honest with, vulnerable with. I can reveal myself to them, and I have a sponsor, and I still sponsor people, and I do that in my own time, and yet in my professional life I work with people, and I have people that work with me. And I think that's a good metaphor in all of us on a personal development journey. And modified lifestyles, you need to change. There's no point in giving up the drink and the drugs and then staying in exactly the same environment. I believe that recovery is about drawing a line in the sand, stepping over it, and creating a new destination in our life. It's like creating a new path, a new journey, a new chapter. And if you read my book, you'll see that the life after my addiction is drastically different and immensely more fun. Well, I don't know if it's more fun, but it's just fun in a different direction. And I had a great time when I was out there drinking and drugging for many years. I was a successful DJ in the 90s. I was a successful trafficker and smuggler of drugs across Europe, and I used to put on huge, enormous raves with tens of thousands of people every weekend, and I had a great time. Sex, drugs, and techno music. But my journey in recovery has been just as eventful and memorable, and I've had so many more colourful adventures in recovery as I did in my journey beforehand. And I think that the lifestyle that we change into and that we become once we find sobriety is far more rewarding in the long run. So please don't let the person that you care about off the hook. If they get into recovery, please encourage them to start saying yes and start putting their hand up to expectation, to offers or life adventures, or things come in our path, and a lot of us can be quite scared to see that. But if you step forward and just take advantage of an adventure, just go for a modified lifestyle, just maintain your sobriety, travel, do whatever you need to do. Active and sustained monitoring, accountability, kind of like with the sponsor earlier, but this is on a more professional level, and it's more from a place of that addict taking responsibility for their recovery and being accountable to another person in some format or some way. And regular counterbalance of relapsing through 12-step fellowship meetings. They're a free resource. We really ought to take advantage of them and enjoy them. The 12-step fellowships are free. They're all over the world. And they're a regular way of counterbalancing the fact that the addicts go out and use. Now, addicts can get turned off by 12-step fellowships. That's fine. You can substitute other groups or fellowships of people. I'm a member of the London Yes group. I don't know if any of you have heard of that. But there are other ways where you can hang out in crowds and maintain your sobriety and live in and move in healthy worlds.